Virtue speaking here. I'm glad you could join me again. I want to talk about Theresa Caputo, and this is one of my reviews of the ever increasing clips that I keep doing. There are other ones that I've done. Tyler Henry, I did Psychic Twins. I've done something on Ghost Adventures, and I've done something on other sort of paranormal groups. Anyway, check them out if you're interested. I want to talk about Theresa because I was told something by my spiritual team about her that really quite shocked me. Now, I won't go into it now because I need to just backpedal a bit and explain for people who don't know me, and then I'll tell you what I was told. Okay, I'm an artist, I'm a painter, and I'm also, I identify as a practicing left-hand path worker, which means that I'm a practicing, I hate the word magician, I always think someone's going to expect me to pull a rabbit out of something, but I practice magic basically. I do spells, I write spells, I write all sorts of things. I do both black and white magic. I also work with the dead, and I've done these things for years. I think probably about 25 years, 20 years, 25 years, actively. I've done them since I was a kid, and I really like Theresa. I thought out of all of these TV mediums, she was legit. And I still think she is. I actually do. I'm not saying she's fake. I think there's a problem. The problem is more with what she's actually doing and what she's putting her abilities into being television and entertainment. But anyway, let's get on to that shortly. Okay. Whenever I do one of these clips, I always make sure that I research, because I don't like to do them without trying to check the facts. But last week I was told by my spiritual team, I was asked actually first up, do I want to look into Theresa? And I said, yeah, well, I'd like to. Now, I thought that I would go in and do quite a positive clip, and I still want this to be a positive clip because I still like this woman. I like watching Long Island Medium. And even when I years ago, saw her work, I was told by my spiritual team that the dead love her because she's so accurate and she's so good. And I've seen things that unless she is actually interviewing people, there's no way she could have known. You can't find that stuff online. And I don't really believe that she would be going to that extent. I don't believe she's a fake at all. I think if she was a fake, she would be absolutely effing brilliant at it. And I don't think she'd be playing as medium. She'd have conned the world because she'd be that damn good. So I don't actually believe, it defies logic that she really is a fake. However, with that said, and having said that my dead gave her such a raving review of how good she is at this, I find it really difficult to say what I was told by them. So they asked me to look at Theresa, and as I said, I research these things. So I started researching. I started looking on YouTube, looking online, seeing and getting both sides of the stories, because anyone that works in this sort of spiritual industry, you're going to get a lot of people that are for and a lot of people that are against. It tends to polarize people. So, I was looking at the people who thought that she was complete crap and the people that absolutely loved her, and I like to make up my own mind. As I was starting to go down that path, suddenly I was interrupted by my spiritual team, and they told me that she well, not her, it was, I don't know if it was actually her, but there was, with the smaller, they gave me the picture of the smaller stage medium, you know, the sort of audience medium events that she has. I would guess probably maybe 200 people or so. I don't know, television, it could have been that sort of thing, but what they told me is there is information from everyone sitting in the audience. Everyone in the audience has an allocated seat. These things are booked months in advance, and there are plenty of time for the staff to research. Now, I was really shocked, and I've been really distracted about, well, I don't know if distracted, no, that's not the right word, perplexed about what to do about this, because I believe them, because they wouldn't tell me this if it wasn't true, because they never tell me anything that isn't true. They never have, and I doubt they ever will, because I continually test them and they continually test me. That's the way we work. We are always developing the trust we have, because we need it, particularly with what I do with these nasty hauntings. We need to have that trust. I trust them. So I'm in a position where I really like Theresa, and I think she is the real deal. But now I'm being told something else. So what do I do with this? I thought, well, you do a clip on it and you talk about it. Now, I'm hoping that maybe they do this because if she can't, I mean, if she can't pull out that gift or she's not feeling well, I mean, the whole thing is that when you do this stuff, there are times you're wrong. You're not going to be right all the time. Nobody is right at their job 100% of the time. If they say they are, they're a bloody liar, because they're not. We are human. It is human to make mistakes. That's not really what I'm after with her. You know, you get all these clips all over, you know, YouTube that says stuff about her. You know, missing and not being able to tell people the correct information. But there are days when you're off. And maybe that's why these things are happening. It could be her staff doing it. She may not be part of it. I don't know. And I certainly am telling you that's from spirit. I have no proof of any of this, because I'm not about to make an accusation, because I have no proof. But I don't know. I wanted to talk about something that I think is endemic. Now, I know in the Tyler Henry clip I talked about this as well. And I think it's endemic to this sort of representing spirituality on television and representing spirituality in that entertainment machine, because it is a machine. And the problem is, of course, in life, as we all know it, once money becomes involved with these things, it gets more and more corrupt. But I also think there's bigger problems. When I talked about the Tyler Henry clip, which you can have a look at, it's on the YouTube channel, basically what I talked about was that I don't think Tyler Henry knew how to read before he even got on to that show. He'd done 2 years in the back of tarot shop giving people readings. I mean, come on. And then he gets on there and he's got absolutely no clue what he's doing. The kid is cold reading. He's got no ability to do anything. And these television programs don't care, because they're after the ratings. They don't care about the integrity. They don't care about the sort of the possibility that these people could be calling, you know, especially him, he could be causing grief. I mean, Tyler Henry's even worse because he medically diagnoses people. I mean, for God's sake, stop it. Anyway, we're not talking about him, we're talking about Theresa. I think Theresa is a lot more responsible with what she does. I think she does genuinely care. But I think this issue, like with Tyler, they don't give a shit if he reads or not. As long as he gets the ratings, they don't care. And I think this is what's happening, or I hope this is what's happening, is that she is starting to get sucked into this entertainment as opposed to actually being able to handle her own gift. I know from dealing with the dead how difficult it is. I also know from being spiritually aware how difficult it is, because basically what you do is you live a life with one foot in the living world and 1 foot in the dead world, and you are completely balancing this all the time. Now, I don't know how anyone could go on a schedule like Theresa goes on and have this television contracts and all of these things without losing that ability. You would have to lose it, because television is a fucking machine. It's a machine that makes money, and it's a machine that spits out entertainment. And if we're lucky, it's good entertainment. And if we're not so lucky, it's crap. Most of the time, it's the latter. But if we're lucky, we get something good. But still, it is a machine, and it is there to make money. And when you have these systems, and I'm saying this to support her, I really am. When you have these abilities, you need to maintain them. Now, I spend a lot of time in my days contemplating my own belly, and people think, God, she's lazy. And I think, no, I'm not, because if I don't do this, my head will explode. I've got a lot of really highly evolved deities that help me out at the moment. I've got to maintain the connections with them because I don't feel threatened by them at all. But they're not easy. They totally blow my mind in many different ways about the abilities they've got and what they can actually show me and do for me. And that's something that you need to take into account, that these things that you're doing are actually mind-blowing. And this is one of the reasons I know and have always believed that she's the real deal, is because those of us that really do this, that's what we do. If you look at Theresa, she will end up being shocked quite a few of the times by what comes out her mouth and what actually hits. Now, that could be an act, but it isn't. I know it's not. Because that's the way it works. I've had times with the dead when they've done things or told me things or led me somewhere. I mean, there's a clip I've got that's called the White Hart Pub. Have a look at it, because that's where I actually had a human dead entity lead me to physically another place. Because I said, I don't know what you're talking, you take me there, and he did. Because he told me as I went how to find it. It was one of the more surreal moments I've ever had. And I stood there absolutely shocked. I'm getting a spoiler alert in this because I'm not going to tell you the end of it. It's quite interesting. But that's the kind of shock you get, because they always take you somewhere where you never expected. And I can tell that with her. But what worries me, and this is not something that is, I'm trying to say, if I could say, Theresa, listen to this, it's not, I think you're shit, I think you're crap, I think you shouldn't, just excuse the ambulance. Right, it's gone. I don't think you're crap. I think that you are being sucked into a system that doesn't understand your gift, and it doesn't understand anything about what you need. And it concerns me, because I actually think this woman is quite talented, and I'm willing to go on record and say, yes, she is. I don't know what I'd do in her position. You know, the issue is, like, if I can explain it as well, I'm going to do a really rudimentary explanation of this. It's a lot more complicated. When you talk to the living world, you've got the living world coming in, and it goes to your conscious mind. and then go through your subconscious and then connects to spirit if it needs to. When you're talking to spirit, it comes back the other way. But this is why it's always symbolic a lot of the time. Is because, well, not always, but most of the time it's symbolic. Is because your conscious mind is a symbolic mind. Your subconscious is a symbolic mind. Your conscious mind is the everyday mind. And when you're reading the dead, that's what you're doing. You're trying to get your subconscious to settle a bit, and so you can get that flow through. And I think in situations that she's in, with this consistent interviewing, this consistent battering of fans and all sorts of things, when are you getting the time to settle that mind? I mean, I don't know if that's the way you do it. I'm just assuming you do it the same as the way I do it. But I also think the grounding would be really bloody hard in that situation too. I think there's a couple of things, like with the Tyler, sorry, I'll go back to the Tyler Henry, because they really are very connected. There was a scene in one of Tyler Henry's clips where he was standing there and there were 3 or 4 people around him and they were all sort of saying, oh, this star, isn't he a star? And he was sitting there like giggling. And I thought, it's no wonder you don't really have any filters on yourself anymore. You're not you're not critiquing yourself anymore. You're not saying, am I doing the right thing? Because when you're surrounded by yes people, this is what's going to happen. You will believe them because you'll get into a position where everybody is saying yes to you and you really believe you're right. Now, I can't see how that's... And I know that Theresa is obviously a woman who has kids. She's obviously, I think, pretty sensible, got common sense. But even with that, I think all of this Hollywood BS would be wearing her down. So I don't know what I'd do either. Probably not take a TV show. I'll just happily sit here on YouTube. At least I can do it when I want. But this is the other thing too. There are some days, which is why, as I said, I don't do private readings. I'm actually thinking about going into it. But one of the reasons that I'm considering perhaps that I don't know if I can is because it just depends if I can get into that mode when somebody says you have a 1 o'clock appointment. I mean, it just may be a case that I need to sort of get my shit together and train myself up to be able to turn it on and off a bit at the moment. At the moment, because I don't do that sort of thing, and I do a lot of painting, I'm just free-forming with it. I do it when I want. But that would have to be affecting her as well. Although she seems like she has been able to do this quite well. And maybe she's just a hell of a lot more skilled at it than I am. I'm quite happy to give her that. Anyway, I did have a look between some of the older versions of, the earlier versions of what she did and some of the newer versions, and I do think that I can see a difference. I think occasionally you can see a bit of sort of fishing. Not a lot. I still think she does get it right. But I don't know. I heard when I was doing the research, I heard another medium, Lisa Kaza, her name is, and she was talking about sort of a similar thing than what I'm talking about, that she's experienced a lot of sort of mediums that have gone into the television thing and they've just completely lost it because it just takes over. And I guess it's probably a problem. I think it's difficult because I think what Theresa does, and some of the better sort of people working in like you know, paranormal sort of investigations and things like that do, is they get the subject in the general public, and I think that's an absolutely incredible thing to do, because I think what she's doing for the dead is incredible. But is there a price? So I think that's probably all I really want to say about this. As I said, when I was told that, I actually didn't want to do this clip, and I thought, no, I will. I'll just put my opinion out there. I'm behind Theresa, I still am. I just don't want her to be doing that. I really don't. Because I'd be really, really disappointed. Because the other thing is that it reflects on us all. So don't do this. Yeah. And as I said, I also want to put a complete disclaimer here. I'm talking about what Spirit told me. I have no proof of this. Okay, because I'm not going to say that she's doing it, because I really have no proof of this. And I think that's probably about it. I hope you enjoyed this clip. I hope you enjoy me and can join me on some others. Have a look at some of the clips that I've done with Tyler, the Psychic Twins. Wasn't so nice to them. But then again, they just need snake oil. And there's some other sort of interesting stuff that I do on sort of more critique or review. And you can also check out the YouTube channel with my the actual hauntings that I do, the actual real hauntings that are on there. There's quite a lot of them. And hopefully I'll see you on another clip. Bye for now.